Here's how to replace your brakes on a B8 or a B8.5 Audi S4. Now you start off removing your wheel, of course, and to remove this clip is the first thing you should start off with. The easiest way to do this is to use a clamp and get this tab to come out here. This tab is actually inside of the caliper, so you have to remove this anti-vibration clip. In order to do that, is you push it with this clamp, and then you pry it over here with your screwdriver, like such. Also, you'll know when your brakes are due, because where's my brake pad? My old one here. There it is. Your brake pad sensor will have worn out and it'll start to squeal, and your service light will come on, and no matter how hard you try to reset it, it's not going to go away. So let's get started. I'm going to try and hold this phone here and show you guys how to do this. Like such. There you go. There's step one. The second step, you have to come behind over here and disconnect your wear sensor. In order to do that, you have to come back here, and looks like this side doesn't have one. Or does it? Oh yeah, this side doesn't have it. Well, that is not good. Okay, well, apparently this side, the passenger side, doesn't have it. But there's a small tab on your wear sensor. You can follow it. It usually plugs right into here, into this location right here. And what you do is there's a tab you pry up and rotate to get it to come undone from the bracket. And then after you do such, you unplug your wear sensor. Okay, the next step after that is you have to take out these bolts. There's one on top here, it's a 13 mil, and there's another 13 mil on the bottom of your caliper. Right there. You'll know which ones they are because they're the only ones with a rubber boot here. You can see the rubber boot here. After you remove these two 13 mil bolts, you have to pry your piston away from the pad to loosen off, so your caliper will come off. Otherwise, it will not come off as such. And I'll continue this video afterwards here. I'm trying to keep them short so I don't soak up too much memory on my phone, because I've run out of memory. I will show you guys the next step on how to removing your pads. On this side, on the anti-vibration side, they're actually glued to your caliper, and you have to pry the pad off with a flathead screwdriver to get them to come off. They're a bit of a pain in the ass to pry off, but it's not that big of a deal. And the other side are just like such. These tabs on the back side actually just go inside of your piston. As you can see, the marks there, that's where the piston goes into. Yeah, these are the old ones. They're pretty worn out. Now that I've taken off the caliper, I've compressed the piston a tiny bit. As you can see, the wear on this side isn't as bad as the other side, but here are the two little spaces here. There's two little spaces there that you put your screwdriver into, and that's how you pry the pad off. Try and see if I can get some light here. But what I did is I just put the screwdriver in here, and I smacked it a bit with the lightly with a hammer, and that seemed to help to pry the pad away from the caliper in order to get this side off, which is glued to the caliper. The other side just comes undone. You just pry on it, you just pull on it. And what I did is I rest the caliper on top of the rotor like such, so it doesn't damage your brake lines, your rubber brake lines here. You don't want to break and damage those. Those can be costly, and you need two people to bleed your brakes afterwards, so that could be bad. Alright, I'll show you guys how to take these off and how to service your brake pads afterwards. Unfortunately, I bought another wear sensor, assuming that I would need two, but it's only the driver's side that you need to replace the wear sensor, at least on my S4. And here's the tab that I was talking about that you had to spin out. It's this tab right here. This tab has to be pried away and then spun and then dropped in order to get this wear sensor to be unplugged. And this is where the wear sensor clips. It just clips as such. Once you remove the other brake pad, you'll see you just pull the clip away from the brake pad, and it comes undone. Just like pretty easy here. You just pull it like such. Okay, I'll show you the next part. I just wanted to show you guys that they in fact they are glued, and then you just pry like such. You can see the glue there. You just pry this away, pry this brake pad off, and that's how they come off. They're just glued. I just wanted to show you guys that they in fact they are glued, and then you just pry like such. You can see the glue there. You just pry this away, pry this brake pad off, and that's how they come off. They're just glued. Okay, and here's your next step. Before you install your new brake pads onto your S4, here's the new ones. I chose to go, I went with an Akebono brake pad. They're a ceramic brake pad. They just reduce brake dust, and they just seem to last longer. So anyway, they'll need to be lubricated. I put 4 tabs here. Just lubricates over here like such. Yeah, nice and lubed up here. Nice, see? Oh yeah. This is just to just so it doesn't squeal and under vibration, just to keep them nice and lubricated. And you do the same thing on the other side here, on this one and that one. You do the same thing here. Just what I did is I just purchased an extra brake lubricant because the brake lubricant that they give you with these pads is only good for one side. They just don't give you enough grease, so it's handy to have this anyway if you're going to service your own brakes. This is what I went with. It's just a synthetic brake lubricant, and it works. So yeah, show you guys how to install your brake calipers afterwards. Suppose I should show you guys how to compress your piston in order to put your caliper back on. What I did is I just placed the pad inside of the piston, and then I just used a clamp so you don't damage or scratch your nice shiny calipers. Some people will argue that it doesn't really matter, it's on the back side anyway, but that's what I do, is I put the pad in and I just compress it as such, in order not to damage the caliper boot and damage your caliper. And after you do that, these rubber boots, when you go to reinstall your caliper, they will have to be pulled like such. They pull. You'll have to pull them and do top or bottom, whichever you prefer to do first, and that's how you put your caliper back on to service your brakes. Here's the last bit of finishing up with your S4 brakes. Forgot to mention, once you mount these calipers, in order to get them to sit flush with these bolts, you just pull this spacer just to get them to sit further in the caliper. The caliper will sit further in on this bracket, so you can put these bolts in, and you have to thread them in by hand as far as you can, not to cross thread them. Probably the hardest part of doing your brakes is probably putting this anti-vibration clip that sits on this hub bracket and just clips onto this side of the caliper to keep it from vibrating and damaging anything. I did it with just my two hands. Of course, I can't do it holding my phone, but you just sit it like that, and the hardest part is just to get in this clip right here to just pass the surface of the rotor there. Not rotor, I mean caliper, sorry. And hope this helps for you guys trying to watch this at home. Do it yourself. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.